The reasons why Pink Floyd's The Wall is still relevant in the world we live in today. When it comes to music and everything else, today's youth are exhausted by the digitization of music. A great number of people are reminiscing about the golden period of tangible media. To be more specific, a smaller number of younger listeners have been listening to a specific album by a band named Pink Floyd, which was initially released on vinyl and became quite popular. There is a good reason why it is considered to be one of the most well-known and acclaimed concept albums in the rock music genre. No other album has ever been released that was comparable to Pink Floyd's The Wall, which was released in 1979. This record is just as relevant today as it was in England in the late 1970s. Despite the fact that it is a product of its time in a significant way, a number of songs, such as Another Brick in the Wall Part 2, were not afraid to criticize the war, the educational system, and the pessimism that young people were experiencing during a period of time that was extremely significant in terms of society and culture. There is a whole new generation of listeners who can identify with Water songs today, and this is not necessarily a good thing. On the other hand, it is hoped that this record will motivate the younger generation of listeners and bring them out of their numbness, just as it did in the 1970s. Systematic failure of educational institutions. The Wall by Pink Floyd was initially released, and it has been decades since that time. The following lyrics, which are still relevant in the year 2020, are unfortunately still true. They tell us that we have the ability to make this planet a better place for everyone and to right all of the wrongs that have been done in it. We are then thrown into the deep end of the pool, and they anticipate that we will be able to maintain our buoyancy. When we become just another brick in the wall, they don't even try to hide their disapproval. Kids today still don't want to be controlled by media. Teenage rebellion against biased media and political propaganda is still as powerful as it has ever been, despite the fact that the political landscape of the 2020s looks quite different from what it actually was in the late 1970s. Despite the fact that the ideas in American and even UK politics appear to be extremely different from one another and, in some ways, more severe, the words, "We don't need no thought control," continue to be highly relevant in today's world. This is one of the primary reasons why The Wall continues to be so relevant to youthful listeners in the present day. It is possible that the band came to the realization that they had constructed a wall between themselves and their fans, which might have been the inspiration for the album's initial concept. On a cultural level, however, the record has been viewed as strongly being a product of the moment in which it was created. A nasty investigation of those in positions of authority and the disdain that society has for anyone who holds a different point of view is what The Wall is, in many respects. The internet is both the wall and the way out. The internet has made communication significantly more extensive and in-depth than it was in the past. We are currently living in the age of the internet. Today's youth have more opportunities than ever before to communicate their opinions and make connections with others who share their values. With that being said, there is a drawback to this. In addition to this, there is a greater possibility of being rejected for having a different way of thinking. And there is a significantly greater possibility of being controlled through the use of propaganda. In addition, propaganda does not necessarily have to be of a political type. The children and adolescents of the 1970s were instructed to worship war and to accept the status quo. In today's world, individuals are subjected to advertising and are urged to purchase items in order to numb the emotions of detachment and apathy that they are experiencing. To apathetic young people who are having a hard time understanding the aim of everything, The Wall conveys the same message, regardless of the distinctions that exist between audiences. You do not have to conform to a system of education and culture that is designed to be universally applicable to all people. There is no requirement for you to be merely another brick in the wall. On top of that, the soundtrack is just fantastic. It is also important to note that,